Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is the first time that I am sitting down to film since the twins have been born, and it feels so good to sit down and talk to you guys. I'm batch filming some videos today, and it feels really good to just get here and sit down in the spot that I've been filming now for a few months and talk to you guys. So today's video is going to be how we chose our children's names. If you're new, we have 4 kids, Paige, Aniston, Winslet, and Rafferty. We just had the twins 2.5 weeks ago, so we have newly become parents to 4 children. So we went from 2 to 4, and so far it's just been amazing. It is just complete bliss. But this video has been requested ever since we did our name reveal, and our name reveal went live about 4 days before I went into labor. So I wanted to make sure that this was the first video that I actually got out for you guys, and I planned on filming this before I went into labor, but the day before I planned to film some more videos to schedule out, I went into labor. So yeah, that's pretty much how life goes. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started with how we chose our children's names. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button before you leave, and let's get started. So if you are new to my channel, you won't know this, but Paige is actually my bonus daughter for my husband's first marriage. So I actually didn't get a say in her name, clearly, but I'm going to go ahead and include that because I like her name and she's one of ours still. So we're going to talk about her name as well. So she is about to be 10, and her name is Paige Elizabeth. As far as I know, her first name of Paige is just one that her mom and my husband liked at the time, and that was pretty much the extent of that. Now her middle name, Elizabeth, is actually her mom's middle name, so her mom was able to pass down her name to Paige as her middle name, and I am a huge fan of the name Elizabeth. I love the name Elizabeth. It's one of those names that will not age ever. I mean, time has clearly shown that Elizabeth has always been around and has always been pretty common, and it's just so classic and beautiful, and you just cannot go wrong with this name, first or middle. I love this name. I've always loved that name. So yeah, her name is Paige Elizabeth. Now Aniston, she is almost 5, and she is obviously mine and my husband's daughter together, and her full name is Aniston Elena. And I think I mentioned this before on my channel where I got her name from, but I've gotten a lot of subscribers since then. So there's 2 reasons why we went with the name Aniston as of her name. The first is that my paternal grandmother, her name was Annie, and ever since she had her own children, so my dad and my aunts and uncles, everyone has given their daughter the name Anne as a middle name to kind of pay tribute to her. She actually passed away when my mom was still pregnant with me, so I never actually got to meet her in real life, but from what I've been told, she was just an amazing, amazing woman, and my grandfather and I had such a great relationship, and he never married after her passing. So like I said, everyone gave their daughters the middle name of Anne, and my parents decided that they would actually give Anne in my first name. So my legal first name is actually Brianna, and they did that to call me Anna. And legally, I am getting it changed to Anna, so I can just drop the Brie because I've never actually used it. But I figured for my personal preference, I also wanted to put Anne in the first name of my daughter. So I knew of Aniston also because it is a town in Alabama, and I'm from the state of Alabama. And at the time that I was pregnant with her, I did know that we would be moving to Iowa. So I kind of wanted to take some of that Alabama with me, and Aniston just fit the bill. I loved the way it sounded. I loved that Anne was the first 3 letters of the name. So it was a pretty easy decision on my part to choose Aniston. And at the time, my husband was very just, whatever you like, I like. He had really no opinion on names. He just liked whatever. So it was pretty easy to get Aniston as her first name. And her middle name, Elena, it's kind of like sad, but it just came from a TV show. We actually had a list of a few middle names. We had the name Elle, Everly, and Elena on a list, and we wanted her to have an E middle name to give her something to link her to her sister, Paige Elizabeth. And we just thought having 2 E middle names would just be something that would link them kind of. without being too like matchy, like matching their names. So we actually had a list of 3 names, and we let Paige decide which middle name that she got, and she picked the name Elena. And Elena was only on the list because of the show Vampire Diaries. I discovered that when I was pregnant with her, and the main character played by Nina Dobrev, her name is Elena on the show, and I just loved it. I loved the way it was spelled, and I didn't know too many people called that in real life. So yeah, Paige picked my favorite name, it just so happened, and yeah, that's how she got her name. Now the biggest question, I think the reason why this video was even requested by you guys is because you were curious as to how we chose our twins' names. So I think most of you are waiting for this part of the video. So pretty much how we chose our twins' names. I will go ahead and just start with Winslet because she technically was born first, so she's older. And I am obsessed with her name. I love her name. I know it's not the typical name, and that's kind of why I didn't want to include comments on our name video, because I was nervous that people would try to ruin it for me or speak negatively about it. And at the time that we announced names, we knew that her name was not going to change. We knew 100% that was her name, so I associated that, and I was really just passionate about her name. And I didn't want anyone trying to ruin it for me. So I'm really sorry about that. But yeah, her full name is Winslet Faye. Now Winslet, I think it's pretty obvious where I heard it. I heard it from the actress Kate Winslet. And I know that people think that Aniston and Winslet was planned, like Jennifer Aniston, Kate Winslet. And it was not. Aniston is not after Jennifer Aniston. It's spelled like the town because that's the route that we went with that one. But obviously Winslet is from Kate Winslet. I brought up this name about 2 years ago, and this was the time that we kind of were starting our fertility journey, knowing we would need help to get pregnant. And I was watching The Holiday, and on the credits at the end, I just so happened to be like paying attention to the credits, and her name came up, Kate Winslet, because she's in the movie. And I'm like, wow, her last name written out is so pretty, and like Winslet just sounds so feminine and cute, and I love that you can call her Winnie if you wanted to. And my husband at first was like, no, he probably was so tired of hearing names back then because we weren't pregnant, and I think that it was hard for him to even think about baby names, but I have been thinking about names since forever. And so after all this time, when we actually got pregnant and I found out that it was boy-girl, I knew that she was a Winslet. Like that was the one name that came back in my mind immediately, and I said, that's her name. And really I wanted her to be called Willa or Winslet. And my husband was not a fan of Willa or Winslet, I don't think. But when we actually got pregnant, he said, I really think we should name her Winslet and give her your great-grandmother's middle name. So we named her Winslet, thank goodness, because I love it. And then her middle name is my great-grandmother's name and my mom's middle name. And it's just like the perfect girl name to me. I am obsessed. And then Rafferty's name, Rafferty is our first and only son that we have. And his name is very special too. It has been on my mind for years and years. At this point, it's been about 17 years. I know that sounds crazy. I'm only 27, but my mom and stepdad got married when I was around the age of 10, and they were talking about possibly getting a surrogate, and actually ended up going through the process to have their own child because my mom had already had her tubes tied. So she has my sister and I, and then that was it. And when they were in the whole process and going through it, they said they were going to name their son, if they had one, his middle name would have been Rafferty. And ever since then, ever since being a young child, I've always been like really close to that name. I saw how much my mom loved it, and then I just naturally fell in love with it. And I don't know, it's always stuck with me. And there were so many boy names that I was excited to possibly use because it was our first son, but that's the name that I kept coming back to. And my husband, after all these years that we've been together, we've talked about that name since the beginning, like even before we got married. and he was never like a huge fan, and over the years he was kind of like, he'd bring it up and I'd be like, oh yeah, you know, I still love that name. And what really sold him, I think, is the nickname. And the nickname for Rafe that we're planning on using, for Rafferty that we're planning on using, is Rafe. We do call him Rafe at home. Not that it matters because he's so young, but that's what we've been calling him since he was in the womb and outside of the womb. My husband thinks that sounds like a hockey name. So I am a big fan of the nickname Rafe because of the movie Pearl Harbor. Ben Affleck's character, he's a pilot back in World War II, and his name was Rafe, and I just love that name. And when I was looking up Rafferty under the nickname options, it was on there, and we just both, it just sold it for us. And I think it's so cool that we're able to take a name that my parents really loved and give it to our son, because they were so excited when we told them the names. It was amazing. And his middle name is John David. So Rafferty John David. John David is actually hyphenated, which I know it's a name on its own, but we just hyphenated it because I wasn't sure if it was like two separate names or if you have to hyphenate it. So we just decided to hyphenate it because we weren't sure. And John is my stepdad's name, and David is my husband's father's name. So we were able to kind of get everyone's name in his name, and it's just, we love it. It's obviously a mouthful to say it all together, but I doubt he's gonna walk up to someone and say, my name is Rafferty John David, last name. So we're not really that concerned that it's super long. But yeah, I mean, that is the extent of this video, I think. Those are our 4 kids' names. I love each and every one of their names. I think that it really fits them. I mean, you know, I think that before I had them, I did mention to you guys that Rafferty's name might change. We saw him on a 3D ultrasound, and we saw him very clearly. And I started to get nervous because I didn't think he looked like that. I've never personally met a Rafferty, so I didn't know what to think that he looked like. So I kind of got really nervous. But as soon as he came out, like, to us, he just was. You know, we were in the room holding them after they were born, and I looked over to my husband and I said, you know, is he a Rafferty? Because I think he is, and he is. Clearly, you guys know I've announced their names in real life, so we did stick with that name. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be all for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching it. I think this is a really neat idea for a video, and I was kind of looking at some other ones because it has been done before, and I just was curious to watch all those videos too. But again, if you guys are new and you want to stay tuned for more videos, I have a labor and delivery story coming up. Today I'm going to sit down and film that for you guys, and a few other videos. And I did leave my list of future videos over on my Instagram page if you guys are interested. And yeah, that's going to be all, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!